many people are already there on the PT, but it has an obvious problem, right? And it's not to say that it's a negative thing. Coruscant, which even Chris Roberts has directly compared it to, is a solid sci-fi location. It's a great idea, a city. But one of the things that we haven't heard any discussion about, and one of the things that we briefly saw in episode 2, was that perhaps somewhere on that world there's a place where the more nefarious elements might be. Some place that's maybe a little bit off the beaten path and left off of. Now, of course, we already have things like this in the Star Citizen universe. We have Jumptown, someplace that is not really marked on the map. You can get certain missions to go there, but in general, you kind of have to find it for yourself, with often the help of other people. And that is a really cool thing to have in Star Citizen. One of the lost elements in a lot of video games, and a lot of MMOs, in fact, is as player convenience kind of was driven more and more and more, and developers kind of leaned into that, they started giving us all these tools that simply told us where everything was. You know, we never had to go out and find things, and sometimes because the maps that they gave us, even, you know, if we had to reveal certain parts of the maps, sometimes revealing a certain chunk of the map would also reveal something that would otherwise be hidden, something that you would maybe find on your own. I remember back in the day accidentally finding Ravenhold, which, you know, for those who play WoW and play Rogue will know what I'm referring to, and the adventure that, you know, just the sense of exploration that caused. And I really hope that, you know, as we're looking at Area 18, of course, Area 20, and all the other areas that are there, that there's an area that's left off the map, an area for perhaps the more nefarious elements of the Star Citizen universe to congregate. Some kind of a mini Grim Hex in some old abandoned industrial area that is no longer used for whatever reason. Some place where, you know, the criminal element can congregate on that world, and it's not just, oh well, this is the shady alley in Area 18, but it's an actual place where a lot of these things go down, and it's like a cool area that players can find on their own, and some players may never find it and others will find it almost right away, and it becomes this cool thing that gets passed by word of mouth or by YouTube videos or whatever, that people get to find and they go, oh wow, I never knew that this was here. You know, often when we see, you know, previews of what's coming in a game, it ruins the surprise, much in the same way that CIG tries to keep as much of the Idris and, say, the Javelin under wraps until we get to something like, you know, Squadron 42. I kind of would like it if in patches things like this were hidden, that we didn't know that it was there until someone found it accidentally, and then word just spread, and developers could kind of lean back and say, oh, they found it. And now words, you know, things spread like wildfire. It encourages exploration. It encourages players to kind of go out and see what's out there, rather than just kind of get lazy and say, is it on a map? Okay, there it is. Boom, now I know where it is. I would like to see elements like that in the game, and certainly as we expanded into Lorville, one of the things that was missing was basically a criminal hangout. Now, there's some obvious locations. There's a bar out in the desert away from Lorville where certain nefarious elements may hang out in the future. But I was always hoping that there would be something out there, like an abandoned space station that's maybe not marked, that you had to fly to one of the moons and then fly in a certain direction, and then you would find this old wreck of a space station orbiting one of the moons that maybe was and maybe wasn't inhabited. I was always hoping to find something like that. Obviously, Grimhex had to be kind of marked on the map. It was kind of the starting point, but beyond that, I was kind of hoping that, you know, these kind of nerve centers of criminal activity in the Star Citizen universe would have to be found. That they wouldn't simply be like, oh, go here and meet my cousin and he'll start giving you missions. I was hoping that players would have to locate some of these places. Also, with the release of Arcorp, you know, we also find out about landing pads on the tops of buildings, and the fact that players will be able to land and basically live out of one of these buildings. They'll be able to choose their own landing sites, and that's pretty cool. But if you kind of go back to the original hangar system, we had a lot of different hangars, including asteroid bases and, you know, different types of industrial hangars. And I'm kind of hoping that as the game evolves, things like asteroid bases, or maybe even one of these cliff sides here on, you know, Daymar, could hide a little personal landing pad that someone could kind of pick a site and just say, this is where I want it, and it kind of lays down kind of a small abandoned hangar location that the player pretty much just takes over, and this becomes their kind of private home, their kind of refuge in the Star Citizen universe. So maybe they don't want to live on Arcorp. Maybe they don't want to live at Lorville. Maybe they want their own little place hidden off all by itself. Maybe hidden in an asteroid, somewhere in an asteroid belt, or somewhere on the surface of one of the moons. I would like to see some kind of exploration of these possibilities in the future. I mean, I realize once again that I'm kind of falling into, with that suggestion, I'm kind of falling into a very popular trap in Star Citizen, which is, why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? And then as people know, then, you know, someone will, you know, get on stage and say, yeah, we can do this, and yeah, we can do that. That's a cool idea. And then the game takes another year to develop. But these are things that I don't know, I would like to see, and they don't feel like they're too far of a reach beyond what we're already getting. You know what I mean? Certainly, I was very excited when I heard about the personal landing pads, you know, something that's going to come in the future, not in the current iteration of Arcorp, but something that's going to come in the future. I was very excited about that and the possibilities that came along with that. So I hope there is kind of, you know, an unmarked area where nefarious players can set up shop on Arcorp. I hope that there's a place like that on Lorville and on Daymar, and maybe even, you know, somewhere around Crusader. I think that those are really cool ideas to explore, and hopefully as the game evolves, maybe the developers will sneak a few of these things into the game without telling us that they're there, and let us kind of find them on our own organically, which would add to exploration and add, you know, value to the time spent in the game. Maybe not just kind of hauling cargo from point A to point B or blowing up ships, but or give players a reason to kind of get into the game and just wander around and explore and see what's there, not just to take, you know, pretty screenshots for Reddit, but just for their own, you know, just for the possibility of maybe stumbling onto something new and unfound. I think it would be really cool if we had something like that. And certainly, you know, these nefarious little places, you know, tucked away in the Star Citizen universe kind of mesh up with that kind of idea. You know, there are some businesses and there are some groups that maybe just don't want to be marked on the map and don't want to be found. And I think that could add some interesting gameplay. You know, maybe certain players know where certain things are and certain players don't, and they're able to profit from that knowledge. That would be something really cool to see in Star Citizen. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.